And we know that distracted driving is killing people every single week in Ohio.
They just hit us. Next thing you know, my Mimi got off the car to figure out what happened, and he said that he was on his phone and he dropped his phone.
It just takes a half second and a disaster can happen. The leading killer of children in the United States is car crashes, and to me that's just not acceptable.
I got rear-ended outside of St. Matthews. The girl behind me was on her phone.
When fatal crashes occur, generally there's a driving behavior involved.
When you take your eyes off of that road, you actually move to almost a drunk driving state.
We were supposed to take this left turn, and he looked down at his phone for like 1 second, and then a truck came at us.
If you've messed around with your phone while driving and you haven't killed yourself or somebody else by now, that's a function of luck, not skill.
We have teenage drivers who every week in the state of Ohio are dying. So it can happen to you.
A photo hangs in the main lobby at Gahanna Lincoln High School. Chances are you've walked past it, and chances are you probably didn't even notice it. But it's a photo that screams a message to all of you. 2 words are inscribed above the photo. Remember Sydney. At the bottom, the simple message, buckle up, don't text and drive. Give life. Along with the year 2013, the year that former Lincoln student Sydney Williams was killed in a distracted driving accident.
I pass the picture of Sydney in the hall every day at school, as many of the students do, and it reminds me that she was alive, and it reminds me of all the opportunities that I now have that she doesn't. I'm going to prom, and I didn't even really want to go, but I feel like I almost have to do it for her because she would have loved it and she didn't get the opportunity to go.
You have a child who you had dreams of what their life would be like, and to see all of those dreams and her future taken away for one decision that she made that one night, that she probably thought it was okay to just take a look at that phone. And that destroyed everything.
Junior Sydney Williams and 2 friends were driving on 161 after buying pumpkins for Halloween. And then, her parents' phone rang.
We got a voicemail saying that we needed to contact the hospital, that Sydney was in a crash.
All we knew was that Sydney had been in an accident. And that's all we knew until they broke the news.
Sydney, Vicky, and a 3rd passenger, Joe, were driving on 161 on a straight, dry stretch of highway when her phone apparently distracted her. As a result of that, she veered off the side of the road and lost control of the vehicle. Ended up hitting the median ditch and flipped the car over 2 times across oncoming traffic, narrowly missing another vehicle. They had determined that the crash was too severe, and she had severe brain damage and was unfortunately declared brain dead.
It feels like your world just got flipped upside down. For you, everything has changed. Your whole perspective on life has changed.
And now, 10 years later, Sydney's photo serves as a reminder of how dangerous distracted driving is. And it's so out of control that as of April 4th, distracted driving is illegal in Ohio.
It will be illegal, with just a few exceptions, for any Ohio driver to use or hold an electronic wireless device, like a cell phone, while at the same time driving.
So what exactly is distracted driving? Well, it's not limited to just texting.
It's anything that takes your hands off the wheel, your eyes off the road, or your mind off your driving. And yes, it is certainly having a cell phone in your hand. Yes, it is certainly reaching behind your seat because you dropped something and taking your eyes off the road.
Sounds simple. Hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, and mind on driving. But it's not as simple as it sounds. Just how big an issue is distracted driving here at Gahanna Lincoln High School? We surveyed 344 students. Here's what we found. 38% of licensed drivers say they return text messages while driving even when they aren't urgent. 45% leave their phone on and alerts on while driving. Only 10% turn off their alerts while driving. Perhaps most scary, when asked whether they agree or disagree with the following statement, "I believe I am not at risk when I text and drive because I have a lot of practice and I'm pretty good at it," 18% clicked agree. Again, that's nearly 1 in 5 students.
It's like drunk drivers. They say, oh, I can have some beers and I can drive. No, you can't. If you feel different, you're going to drive different. When you take your eyes off of that road, you actually move to almost a drunk driving state.
Yet it continues. The Lincoln High School survey also revealed that 13% of the 344 students polled have been in an auto accident that was the result of distracted driving.
On May 25th of last year, I was on my way to the end of theater banquet. I was dressed up and I was really excited about my outfit that I was wearing. I kept glancing up into the rearview mirror to check what I was looking like, and I ended up crashing into another car going 50 miles per hour. I totaled both my car and the person's car that I hit.
I was driving down a Wagner Road and I had my friend in the passenger seat and she was blindfolded because we thought it'd be fun to surprise each other where we were going. And because I was distracted, I never turned my turn signal on. And when I was turning, I didn't check my rearview mirror because somebody was going into the shoulder of the road trying to get around us, and I hit them.
I was driving down the road, I was looking at my phone, I think I was texting my friend. And my wife always told me, like, hey, you need to stop texting and driving because eventually you're going to get in an accident, you're going to hurt yourself, or you're going to hurt somebody. I'm like, man, whatever, I'm used to doing this. And I was looking down at my phone, next thing I know, I hit a car in front of me. And the only thing I can hear is my wife's voice in my head, like, see, I told you.
But distracted driving doesn't just impact the distracted driver. It impacts everybody in the car and everybody who is sharing the road with the distracted driver.
I was stopped at a stop sign, looking both ways, waiting to turn, looked back and saw a car with a kid looking down at his phone, wasn't looking at me, looked up last minute right when he was rear-ending me.
Last week I was hit by a distracted driver. He hit me on the side of the door. He was focused on his phone and was not paying attention to the road.
My family and I were driving on Thanksgiving. My brothers had no seatbelt on, so my mom told them to put their seatbelt on while she was distracted by them. A car came straight out of nowhere, hitting us.
In fact, according to the Ohio State Patrol, there have been over 62,000 distracted driving crashes in Ohio since 2018, and 39% of those were caused by drivers under the age of 24. In 2022 alone, there were over 1,800 serious injury crashes in Ohio. So Governor DeWine and state lawmakers are taking action. As of just a few weeks ago, distracted driving is now a primary offense in Ohio.
Starting tomorrow, local law enforcement officers, as well as the Ohio State Highway Patrol, who witness anyone manipulating their cell phone while driving can immediately initiate a traffic stop before that driver can cause a crash.
This includes dialing a phone number, browsing the internet or social media apps, playing games, sending a text message or FaceTiming, and it also includes recording or watching videos.
Lock your phone, put it down, put it in the console, put it in the glove compartment. Just get it out of your hands.
Driving safety has always been a focus of Governor DeWine's political career after he lost his daughter, Becky, in a car accident in 1993. And Governor DeWine told us that, like the seatbelt law, he is determined to make driving undistracted part of every driver's daily routine.
As I told the state legislature in my State of the State speech, this is one time when if you vote yes, you're going to know there's going to be impact. You're going to know it's going to save lives. I feel very passionately about this, and we know that distracted driving is killing people every single week in Ohio. The law it really indicates what the norms of society should be, what we expect. What we expect from drivers is that they drive and that they pay attention. And I think the law, historically, as a teacher, it kind of sets the norms of society.
We are a country of laws. The majority of us obey the law. And just by having a law on the books that says it is illegal to drive with a cell phone in your hand, most of us are going to put it down. And the states that have enacted it have seen at least a 30% decrease in crashes and deaths.
And the first step towards doing that is active right now. Law enforcement will hand out warnings for distracted driving for the first 6 months, while Ohio drivers are educated on the new law. But once it starts being enforced on October 5th, a first-time distracted driving offender will receive 2 points on their license and a $150 fine, The points and fines escalate for every additional offense, which could include a $500 fine and a 90-day license suspension.
I see the heads down, I see the phones up. So, you know, it happens a lot on a daily basis out there, and just the fact that now we've got a law that we have at our disposal to help change those driving behaviors is very, very significant. We need to educate the motoring public about the dangers of distracted driving and the law and what they can and can't do. But I do believe that the law is going to be very, very impactful in helping curb those driving behaviors that we know are unfortunately taking lives out there every day and on the roadways of Ohio.
Here in Ohio, it's now illegal to interact with your phone screen and electronic devices while driving.
Yes, there are some exceptions for adult drivers for things like making a call in an emergency or using a wireless headset, but drivers under 18 are still restricted from using their devices in any way, and there are good reasons as to why.
The last thing that the human brain develops are three things tied directly to driving: impulse control, judgment, and decision making. And your brain hasn't fully developed those three things yet. So if you start doing other things with your brain while trying to drive the car, your brain's not even up to the task initially. The other thing is limit the number of teenagers in the car with the teenage driver. There are numerous studies on how the likelihood of crashing and dying in a crash goes up exponentially as you add teenage passengers to teenage drivers.
I think that most of us, when we were 16, 17, 18 years of age, thought that nothing could happen to us and thought that, we were invincible. The sad truth is that just by the numbers, we see that that's simply not true, that we have teenage drivers who every week in the state of Ohio are dying.
To me, that the leading killer in the United States is car crashes is just not acceptable. And we know that the majority of the crashes that you see today are due to some kind of distraction, anywhere from holding a telephone into your hand, a tablet, inattentiveness. And we need kids to understand that at the age of 16, you're 3 times more likely than any other age group to be killed in a car crash. And we just need to get that message out there, and we need to change habits. You guys are our future. And to me, it is insane that we are losing a generation on our highways because of some stupid distracted driving accident. And it's not an accident, it's a crash. These are violent things.
Mr. DeBerry certainly knows what these horrific crashes can do. On September 17, 2013, his daughter Maria was killed in a distracted driving accident while driving on I-270.
Losing a child is a parent's worst nightmare, and for my wife and I, it's going to be 10 years in September. Life is short to begin with, but in the case of our daughter, she had 21 years. That's just not fair. I mean, the hardest thing I ever had to do was go into the hospital at Grant, and I will never forget having to go into that hospital and identify my daughter, and I could not believe I was leaving her. Ever since then, it's been a nightmare. I want to wake up from this nightmare. I want to fix this, but I can't. So now it is our mission to keep everybody else from having to go through this. Maria's message is a message of love, and I do this out of love.
Mr. DeBerry is spreading that love by speaking to 130,000 teen drivers at over 150 schools in Central Ohio to spread Maria's message. And his message is simple.
We're going to sign a pact today. If you think this is all BS, I'm telling you, fine. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to continue to love you. But if you take this pledge with me, I want you to take it serious. I want you to alter your behavior behind the wheel. I want you to hold your friends accountable, hold your parents accountable. So to Maria's message pledge, each one, this is the way it ends. I pledge to keep my hands on the wheel, my eyes on the road, my mind on my driving. If I keep my hands, eyes, and mind where they should be, I can keep myself safe and keep Maria's message alive.
Lincoln High School students can do their part to spread Maria's message. Just stop by the table outside the cafeteria today during lunch periods, sign the Maria's Message pledge, and get a purple pin. Then, encourage your friends to do the same. But Maria's Message is just part of Mr. DeBerry's mission. The Maria DeBerry Foundation has raised $2 million so far, and it has donated 48 driving simulators to police departments around the state. They also built 3 state-of-the-art simulator labs in the Columbus area, including the Eastland Fairfield Career Center, so teenagers are getting hands-on training on the impact of distracted driving.
It shows us, like, if we get on our phone, just shows us, like, the difference between being on your phone and not being on your phone and how distracting it could be.
It's helped me, like, stay off my phone, help me visualize my area around, like when the red light turns or like when there's another signal turn.
I think it's wonderful for students. It kind of brings up a phone on the actual simulator, and it looks over at the phone, and you can't see the road for a good solid 10 seconds, and you end up crashing no matter every single time.
When they get on the driving simulator and they actually utilize the scenario that's distracted driving, and it prompts them to get their cell phone out. So they're driving a car, simulated, but they got their cell phone out for real, and it tells them to do certain things, and they realize that they truly are not capable of driving and texting and doing a good job at driving.
We can do so much with simulation. You don't want the first time a child come across a situation on the highway that is real, that's the first time they've ever experienced it. At least for simulation, they can't.
The foundation is still raising money to add 4 more simulator labs in other Ohio cities. For teens who don't have simulator access at this time, they can take driving classes that focus on safety in general, and that includes distracted driving.
Our program is what we call advanced driver training. It's not driver ed. We focus on emergency situations or adverse weather conditions. It's a one-day program. So we go basically straight to driving physics. What's the car doing and why, and what should you be doing about it right now? And basically how to react properly in these difficult car control situations.
I encourage every kid that is of age to drive that they do defensive driving classes. We provide them free. You can also pay for them, but for moms and dads, it's a huge investment, and it's the best money you will spend because it's invaluable training for your child.
There are free apps for your phone that can also be valuable because they stop incoming distractions and even send auto replies. But our survey shows that students aren't taking advantage of the apps. Fewer than 6% of our surveyed drivers currently use the apps. For Androids, you can try Lifesaver, On My Way, No Texting While Driving, and Drive Care, just to name a few. Or, for iPhones, you can simply change your settings. Just go to Settings, then Focus, then Driving, and tap on Auto Reply and change it to all contacts. You can then choose to have it automatically activate whenever you are driving. Students in the Lincoln High School survey estimate that when they are in the car, regardless of whether an adult is driving or another teen, 40% of the time the driver is distracted. Simply ignoring incoming calls until you get to your destination will cut down on the distraction. And you can also keep others safe when you call somebody who is driving and they answer the phone.
We recommend that if you call someone or they call you and you can tell they're driving, just tell them that. It sounds like you're driving, and they'll say, yes, but I'm fine, I'm on the highway, I'm almost there, no big deal. Just tell them politely, please call me when you get there and I'm gonna hang up now. And then hang up, because if something does happen and you've been on the phone with them, you definitely had something to do with that. And if something bad happens, you don't want to have to live with that for the rest of your life.
Unfortunately, lives are forever changed by distracted driving. And our experts have some advice for all of you.
It can happen to you, and if you do everything that you can to stay focused, not be distracted, don't drive too fast, drive according to the conditions. If it's a rainy day, you got different conditions. I think all those things are ways that you minimize the chance that you're going to end up in a wreck.
If they spend that time to educate their friends and just keep talking about it, I think it's going to lead to a decrease and definitely going to save some lives.
Just constant focus and awareness on your driving and what's going on around you. Constant. Really paying attention to your driving, focusing on your driving. Just do that, and you're going to be a better driver right off the bat.
We're created a generation where everyone's addicted to these telephones and the tablets and everything, and they are so important to our life because we do business and everything, but we don't need to do it when we're driving a car at 70 miles an hour on the highway. Not only are you risking your life, but everyone around you, and it's just not worth it.
Anything that distracts you from driving, think about it. Is that worth your life or somebody else's life? And it's not. It never is.
Sydney Williams' family would know, because the pain from her death nearly 10 years ago will never go away.
I wear her bracelets every single day. I think about Sydney every single day. It's really hard as a parent to go through something like this, where you have a child who you had dreams of what their life would be like, and to see all of those dreams and her future taken away, it's changed the dynamic of our entire family. My other kids who were going to grow up with a big sister that could help guide them in high school and all the things that you go through as a teen, that was taken away from them, all because of that one decision.